Welcome to the Inspirational, Informational, and Transparent Aviation Careers Podcast. Today we have a former guest, weatherman turned passionate aviation professional, Chris Dunn, with a career update. First of all, Chris, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Carl. It's great to be back. Has it been, 3 years already?
It's been a moment. Yes. Isn't that amazing? So many things have happened in that period too. And I'm so excited to have you back on to talk about it because, by the way, if people want to listen to that episode, it is episode 313. Just go back and check it out because a lot of what he said he was going to do, he did. He's fulfilled a big part of his dream, and I think that's one of the reasons we're having you back on here today. So go back to that, listen to that episode. But for those that don't know Chris is a weatherman, very accomplished, does a great job, I should say, both in everything he does in presenting weather, whether it's online with some of the recorded material or live. So Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself and just how you got into aviation and why you're so passionate about it.
The real quick and dirty 5-cent background on me. My grandfather was a pilot. He got his pilot certificate in 1929. My father was a pilot. He started flight training the year I was born. In fact, he started flight training the month I was born. I don't know how my mother put up with that, but she did. Even though I had aviation in my family, I didn't necessarily grow up with it. So I had aviation magazines and a lot of content and that interest. But as far as hanging out at the hangar and the airport, I really didn't have a whole lot of that. And even though I had a lot of that, my goal was to be an airline pilot. At about 13, 14 years old, I went to a career day, and I was wearing glasses at that time. And the guy said, "No, you're not going to make it because 98% of our pilots come from the military." And that was coming straight from the guy working for Continental Airlines at Denver Stapleton Airport back in the day. So I believed him, and I wasn't given any other career path to pursue that. And that was long before the days of the internet and social media and informative podcasts like yours, Carl. So people in this day and age, I think, are really fortunate because they have this support system that is outside of just one voice and just one person that can totally steer the career of someone and direct me to do something else. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do when I was growing up and always had an interest in weather and finally figured out I should pursue that. But after I was in college, so I had to pick up all the academic background for that after the fact. I graduated with a degree in broadcasting, got involved in the movie business and radio and television. And then finally, when the time and the money came together, I was able to pursue that flight training goal, not in a career sense, but originally it was just purely for recreation, for the challenge of it, for the fun of it. And that took me through 18, almost 20 years of doing flying for fun on the side. And there are a couple of years in the logbook where there are no hours at all. So, as time and funds permit, raising a family and having other commitments, and sometimes that gets in the way. But it wasn't until 2018 when I got my commercial. 2019 became a CFI and was able to leave my full-time TV job. And with a lot of planning ahead and careful preparation, was able to transition from one job, one career path to another, and built up some time. Worked for several different flight schools. Moved back to Arizona. Worked for a large Part 141 school here in Arizona, training CFIs because I was a 2-year at that point, and then built up enough hours to be considered for a professional flying job that wasn't taking people out to the practice area and doing endless trips around the pattern, time and time again. And if you've ever done any instruction, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's flying with a purpose now, and we're taking people places, which is really, I think, just as satisfying as teaching people how to fly in the first place. But I think there are different stages in the evolution of one's career, and I think flight instruction, I really enjoyed instructing. And I really enjoy that sense of seeing completion from start to finish and teaching people new things and sending a student off for their first solo for the first time was really gratifying. But, frankly, the money is not there in most flight training environments. And it's just a different step and a different progression in the aviation career where I am now.
You mentioned that portion where you transitioned to the flying career. Went from full-time weatherman to now flying full-time and doing some of the other weather producing and broadcasting part-time. What was that like? I mean, what did you feel like during that transition? Were you scared? What kind of emotions were going through your mind and body?
Well, I started listening to a lot of podcasts, including yours, both of yours that you have, to try to fill my head with as much information and prepare myself. But I think if you're going to make a transition like that, it's not just a snap decision. You have to include family, friends, other people around you, the support system that you have. And don't blindly just jump into it and say, I'm going to go and spend $100,000 and become a professional career pilot in 7 months, which I guess can be done technically, but better to spread it over a little bit more time than that. Set yourself up realistic expectations financially, because it is a burden, and the faster you do it, the more money it's going to save you, but also it's going to pull you away from other things. So if you have a part-time job or even a full-time job and you're trying to do it side by side, that may be a little more difficult. But transitioning to a job where, there are a handful of people that do jobs in aviation, starting out with a fresh commercial certificate that doesn't involve flight instruction. But by and large, most of us go the flight instruction route. And if you're going to do that, go full in. And don't just say, well, I'm just here to build the hours and we'll do 10 cross countries because I need more cross country time. No, you're just doing a disservice to the student and to the industry as a whole. So, make a full-on commitment to be the best instructor you can be while you're there building time at the same time. It's kind of the icing on the cake. But really just setting yourself up. Come up with a plan. We say plan the flight, fly the plan. Do the same thing with your career and listen to Carl Valeri, because he knows what he's talking about and gives some great advice and a lot of encouragement too.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Chris. But, one of the things that I think was so important about what you said, two big ones. Number one, get your family involved. I think it's so important to get your whole, your family can be extended too. It's also some of your friends that are close friends actually almost become like family in this situation. Get mentors. Also, the fact that, during this process, you've made this transition and you went into flight instruction. And I love the fact you talked about going full in. I think that shows a lot of integrity on your part. And I think integrity is so important in anything that you do in aviation. So truly do the best job you can, no matter where you are. Say you're out there and you're working a job, working at the golf course, hustling bags, etc. No matter what it is, do the best job you can, because that translates into a great work ethic that's later in life will help you. And yes. I'm sure you agree with that.
And that has helped me recently here in Arizona. TV station that I didn't work for previously. It was a different TV station. They approached me and said, we're down a couple of people. We're in desperate need of help. Can you come in and fill some of the gaps as a freelancer? Not a full-time person, but on your weeks off from the flying job, would you like to come in and work on TV again? And it had been 4 years since I've been on the air. And I talked it over with my wife and I said, okay, I work a 7-day on, 7-day off schedule. And during the 7 days off, I have a fair amount of downtime. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then my wife said, well, just go in and you're just covering the bases. Just make sure you just be a warm body and kind of phone it in. And I said, I can't do that. That's not me. And that wouldn't be doing justice to the job or to the station, to the employer. They're giving me an opportunity to work for them. So I have to do it the way I know how to do it. And yeah, I'm going to go in and open up the hood and get into the weather computer and do a legit forecast analysis and do the best job that I possibly can do. And that's just the way I've approached things, and I hope that your listeners and viewers here will do the same thing with their aviation career, or no matter what career they have.
Yeah. You're a great ambassador for aviation. I think also for the fact that you have so much integrity in your aviation background and even today. But you've taken both of these things that you love, weather and also flying, and melded them together. And I think that's absolutely terrific. So you never know what's going to happen. You never know how your dream is going to actually formulate, because we have this dream, but it's never exactly the same as it was 3 years ago. So if you were to look back, say 2020, I guess when we spoke before, and today, what do you think, what's different than the vision you had years ago?
Well, 2020, of course, we were dealing with the pandemic. That was on the top of everyone's minds, and what was going to happen to the industry. I know there were a lot of people going to the regionals where the classes were canceled. The airline industry was in a major crisis. What are we going to do? When are we going to recover from this? It's going to take years. It took months, not years, to recover from the pandemic, and the regionals came bouncing back, hiring a lot of low-time pilots, just way beyond expectations. Unfortunately, we had a few deaths in my family and my wife's family, and so we decided to move from, I was in Alabama at that time, we decided to move back to Arizona without jobs. I thought I was going to work in the Amazon warehouse. Didn't know what we were going to do, and fortunately I found a flight instructing job at a big school, and I was able to keep my hands in it and do more of that, along with little other side hustles here and there, and we were able to make it. And then, I did see that as an opportunity, one, for a job, but two, to build some hours and some quality time and get some glass time, which I didn't have. This particular school had a fleet of nearly new Piper Archers with G1000s in them. The students had no idea how good they had it. Coming from 1970s era Cherokees and Skyhawks, but fantastic equipment that they had there.
Absolutely. Moving map, right?
Yeah. Follow the magenta line. But it was really, I see it as a fantastic opportunity to grow myself and my skill set, as well as being an instructor and in a different environment, and gain some hours, gain some knowledge, and put that to use, and then explore other opportunities. Because again, like I said, the pay, even though I was working full time, I wasn't working full time. Technically, I was a part-time instructor, but I had 5 or 6 students at a time. And I think last year, this was 2022, I made a total in flight instructing of $22,000.
Wow.
Which is not a whole lot. But, other things here and there help to pay the bills. So I was able to make that through. And of course, a much more lucrative opportunity came my way. So I decided to jump on that.
But you should never give up on your dream, and you didn't. And I'm sure there was challenges, though, and you may have thought about it. Maybe. I mean, during that period, did you ever think, oh, gosh, I'm not sure I can do this?
No, I always knew that I could do it. It was just a matter of, what is going to be next. It's just the unknown. And I think a lot of people are afraid of the unknown, and they're afraid to take that step. I had a friend who was buying his first house a couple of years ago and said, I don't know if I should do this because it's kind of scary and I don't know what I'm doing. And I've bought and sold houses a number of times in the course of my life. And I said, don't worry about it. If you're afraid to do it, look at how many other people have done this and successfully. So do it. I mean, there will be no regrets if you do it, and just plan ahead. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Actually, there's another word in there, but I left that one out.
Yes, thank you. Chris, you are someone that I really admire because of the fact that you've never given up on your dream, and I think your attitude helps a lot because, and the reason I ask that question is the fact that it seems that you've never been down. Psychologically, you've never been down. But there are people that are out there having challenges, and I think it's important when you do have those challenges to find something small that you can do today to keep moving forward in your career. So what did you do during those challenging times? I know you got out there and worked, but I mean, just if you had to give someone advice today about having a challenge, thinking they can't do it, what would you say to them?
Try to look for the positives. Look for the upside in anything. See a glass half full versus half empty. Try to go for the half full. Focus on what you do have and set realistic goals. Don't say, I'm going to be a 777 captain in 2 years. That's probably not going to happen. But if you say, okay, I'm going to be a multi-engine instructor and perhaps start applying for regional airlines or fractional operators in 2 years. okay, that's a more realistic goal. And I think if you set your sights a little bit too high, and then you'll get disappointed, and then things don't come about, and then it kind of spirals from there. So, with encouragement and proper planning and realistic expectations, I think we can kind of manage. And like we try to manage risk in aviation, you can manage your own self risk and self progress by doing some of those internal stage checks. Okay, where are we? And if you set mini goals too, okay, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here at certain times, then you say, yeah, I did achieve that. So now we go on to the next step and the next step. And, like filling out the page of a logbook, when you get to turn that next page, it's a sense of accomplishment. And if you keep accomplishing things, you know that you can keep going and you can get to that end goal, whatever it is.
Absolutely. So that's some great advice. So now you're doing something really a lot of fun. You talked about some of the things that you're doing flying-wise. Let's talk about your flying job. Obviously, we're not going to talk about who your employer is. But what is it, first of all, what do you do? And what is it that you really love about your job right now?
We take people places. And, people, they pay a lot of money to have private transportation. They don't want to fly on the airlines. They could easily afford to fly first class wherever they go, but maybe their travels take them to airports that are more convenient to their destination or to where they live. And they might live on or be on a tight time schedule. So we are tasked with taking them to the places they want to go when they want to go there, and in a very safe manner. Safety is above all. If we can't do something safely, then we are handed the keys to the airplane and also the blessing of the managers on duty to say, no, we can't make this flight. It's not safe, or it's against our policy, and we just simply can't do it. We'll go to an alternate, or we just won't make the flight at all. So I think having a supportive company behind you and making PIC decisions, flight decisions, that really counts for a lot. And we do a lot of flying. The company I fly for flies throughout North America, Canada, Mexico, the Bahamas, mostly the eastern half of the country, and a lot of East Coast flying, specifically in the Northeast, but we do a lot of Florida flying and Bahamas flying. Could be up to 7, possibly even 8 legs a day. I've done as few as 1 or 2 legs in one day, but we're always flying to different places. And we're given a sheet at the start of the day. Okay, here are the places you're going to go. And sometimes that will change during the course of the day. And if you try to look 2 days ahead, well, forget about it. That's definitely going to change, because we have a lot of people who want to fly to a lot of places. And we have, the company I work for now has about 250 pilots and about 45 airplanes. So it's a pretty robust schedule that can change, and it often does.
So the company you work for is actually like a charter company where they would hire people, or do they do some ownership also?
Yeah, it's mostly fractional ownership. So we do flights under Part 91, which are the reload flights. Part 91K, which is a subsection of Part 91, which covers fractional ownership. So you can own, say, 1/8 of a share in the airplane and have use of that airplane. The way I describe it is kind of like a timeshare with an airplane. And then we also do Part 135 flights, which are on-demand or charter flights. And we do flights that can be brokered out for an individual that say, I want to go from Boca Raton to Atlanta Peachtree DeKalb Airport. And, obviously those are places not served by the airline, but if it's more convenient for them, we can say, okay, we will fly you from point A to point B, and it will cost this much money, and we will pick you up at this time at this airport, and we will deliver you at that time, and it's all about convenience and a savings in time.
So how many days do you actually work in a month, and are you gone all those days?
I am gone all of the days. The company's headquarters is not where I live, so fortunately, they afford us the opportunity to be remote based. So I'm based in Phoenix, Arizona, and if they need me on day one in Cleveland, Ohio, or Atlanta, Georgia, or Boston, they will airline me to that location. So that's my day one, and then I work 7 days on, and then I'll have 7 days off. So my day one is I travel to the airplane, wherever the airplane is. I'll meet the captain there, and then sometimes we fly on day one. Sometimes they'll just put me up in a hotel, and you're flying the next day. And then for most of those next 5 days or so, we're flying different places. It's kind of a rare case where I'm just on standby. Sometimes on the holidays, like Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving Day, I was in a hotel room in Chicago. That's just kind of the nature of the business. But that's also kind of a carryover from my career in broadcasting, where there's always something happening every single day. So you need to be on, or when you're off, you're off. So at the end of the 7-day cycle, they will send me home. If I don't think it's happened yet where I've actually ended in Phoenix. So I'll end somewhere, and then they'll send me on an airline back home to Phoenix to end my 7-day cycle. And once I check in and landed in Phoenix, they'll say, okay, great, enjoy your 7 days off. And I won't hear anything from them until a day or so before my scheduled next 7 days. So when I'm off, definitely.
That leads into my next question, which I've seen somewhere on your social media, YouTube channel, etc., where someone was surprised at how you could do all these different things. Like you're also involved, and we'll talk a little bit about that, with another company still doing some instructing. But you're able to do those other things because you're kind of like me. On your days off, you work.
Sure. Yeah, and a lot of aviation jobs offer you the opportunity to do that. Say an airline pilot. If you bid a schedule for the month, you'll know what your schedule is going to be. So you might work, well, in your case, Carl, you're working every single day because you're a hardworking guy.
Well, I'm doing this. Yeah,
yeah, you're doing this.
But I'll have 14 days off. That's my work schedule.
So 14 days off. Hey, you're only working half of the month
Right.
for the airline or for the employer. So the rest of that time, you have time to travel, or to do your side hustle, or to play golf, or whatever you want to do. So there was a lot of freedom, but when you're working, the way I look at it is the company, they own me for 7 days, and they tell me where to go, what to do. But even during those 7 days, we have rest periods. So we have mandatory time where we have to be in rest, and we have limits on our duty day and the amount of flying that we can do. We can't fly any more than 10 hours in one day in a 24-hour period. And we have to have that rest period before we start the next cycle. So, it's not like we're flying constantly 24/7.
That brings up a great point. Boy, so during your rest period, I know this is what I do. When I'm working, just like you said, they own me. I'm not going to do anything else. During that rest period, do you ever try to do other work or anything like that? I'd love to hear your view on the fact of some people try to do that.
Yeah, during that rest period, I'll try to find a hotel gym and maybe do some exercise and try to maintain my health as best I can, because being on the road, it's kind of rough, different sleep schedules. If I'm flying East Coast and I'm used to a 2 or 3 hour time zone difference, that can be rough on the body. And then also, if you're flying, say, 5 or 6 legs and 6 or 7 hours in one day, the way we fly, we don't have a flight attendant that will deliver us a meal in the cockpit, Carl. We have.
I understand what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, not at all. So we have to kind of look ahead at our schedule and say, okay, we're going to be flying to Greenville, South Carolina, and we're going to be landing in Charlotte, and we're going to be flying down to Lakeland. There's a Grub Hub in Lakeland that has 5 different sources of delivery for food, so we can have food delivered to the FBO. And we have to kind of plan it out that way. And what's going to be easy to eat in the cockpit if we don't have enough time to sit down and actually eat a meal? So meals on the go can sometimes be a little bit difficult. And then, we might be getting in at 9 or 10 o'clock at night on some nights, and everything's closed. So have to kind of plan ahead. Lots of trail mix and protein bars and stuff that's on standby.
I'm glad you brought that up, because even in the airline world, you may not have anything available to you. I mean, say the meal's been done, or you're just on a quick flight, you get to the terminal at 3 a.m, everything's closed down. So in any type of aviation career, I think you should plan your food or have something that you might want to bring with you, like a meal bar, that type of thing.
Yeah, then it's definitely key.
So it's interesting what you said, that you go to work, you're there, you do your job, you come home, and sometimes that's liberating. I mean, it's great. You're free to just be at work and not think about anything else. But then you come home, And you, just like myself, love to work on your days off. And you've actually got involved in another organization has a lot to do with instruction. So tell us a little bit about that as far as the Gold Seal.
Yeah, well, it's combining my love and interest in aviation and weather and my background in broadcasting, although you couldn't tell. My background in broadcasting. The way it came about was I saw some sample videos from Gold Seal online flight training, and I remarked about how effective and eye-catching the graphics were, and the presentation was a real guy talking to you about flight training and putting in real easy-to-understand terms, no hokey, corny jokes, no this is the material and you will learn it and memorize this, no talking head lecture style. It was just a real format of, hey, these are people talking to you, like it could be us talking to each other and learning the material. And so kind of drummed up and established a relationship with Russ Still, the owner and creator of Gold Seal Online Flight Training. And he hired me to do the weather portion of the instrument flight training program that started up in 2022. And we're working on a commercial pilot program that will debut in 2024. So I've been writing a lot of the content, presenting a lot of it, some of it on camera, some of it behind the microphone. But it's also, drawing upon my experience as an instructor and specifically instructing CFI candidates, that you have really kind of a more of a deep down knowledge of all of this material, and you get really tight and cozy with the ACS and learning all of that stuff, and then trying to teach it to other people. How do you best accomplish that? How do you get through to people? All those little tips and tricks that you learn as an instructor, can put that into an online program where people can easily access it and learn it and gain some knowledge, and then hopefully, be able to use that and come back to that from time and time again.
And you've done a great job, by the way, with everything I've seen you've done online, and even the stuff you've done on your own to teach people. It's you have a gift, and I think they were very smart to get you involved. By the way, if you want to check that out, it's groundschool.com, groundschool.com, and you can find out more there at groundschools.com and at Gold Seal. And he has it on his shirt too.
Yeah.
and oh, by the way, I forgot to mention he has a lot of different websites. They'll be in the show notes. The Flying Weatherman, there's one, and Facebook, LinkedIn, just some really cool stuff out there. One of the things I do love about all of your social media, and the reason I love to have you on here, is that you do encourage people to keep moving in their career, moving forward in their lives, no matter what it is they do. Whether it is as a hobby, like people that are learning how to fly, get their instrument rating, or somebody who wants to go forward with their career. So
I think that's probably the one biggest takeaway that I had from listening early on to your podcast, the Aviation Careers podcast, is that that encouragement that you give everyone at the end of every show. Keep doing something every day to advance your career, your knowledge, because it's easy to fall into that lull of I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll put it off until next week. Christmas is coming up. After New Year's, I'll do it. If you keep moving and keep progressing, then that forces you to keep that momentum going. And I think that was really valuable advice and one of the biggest takeaways that I've had from you, Carl.
Well, thanks. And that's one of the things that I think is so important in all of our lives, no matter what it is we're doing, is to always constantly take that next step in our career. And you're just a great testament to that and a great example of taking one step every day. But now you're here, you're where you are now flying, and you love what you're doing. It sounds like it's very fulfilling. Everything you're doing is very fulfilling. What's next for Chris Dunn?
Well, I'm in the pipeline to upgrade to captain right now. So, first things first, I want to upgrade to captain and take on a lot more responsibility. At our company, we also do the flight planning. We do our own weight and balance calculations. We do weather planning. And it's surprising to me how many captains have turned to me and said, what's your take on this? Because weather's not really my strong point. I'll say, okay, this is what I think, or this is what I'm seeing, or at least just for a second opinion.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, I want to do that, and I'll explore other opportunities. I still have my hand in television. Who knows what might happen with that. I really enjoy the company I work for right now. They're really a very good company, and I don't have any intention of leaving that job anytime soon. But, as you know, in aviation circles, sometimes opportunities pop up when you least expect it. And, it is hard working 2-3 jobs at a time and then try to maintain a home life. So, there's that balance to be found. And if something gets out of balance, it's our job to try to find a way to rebalance those things. So, if there are complaints that you're spending too much time at home, and I'm a single parent again, or I'm empty nester now, but I'm eating dinner alone 5, 6, 7 nights a week, that's got to change. Well, then, try to find a way to make that change and make that happen.
Absolutely. I think the work-life balance is so important. That's the reason I started doing a lot of the coaching. It's not just about moving forward in your flying career. It's your whole life. You have to take a holistic approach to whatever it is you do in life. And I think, like I said, I think you're a great example of that. And I think it's terrific that you communicate that with your family. As a matter of fact, right after this, I'm going to go out and have an early dinner with my wife, because she's the same way. She's like, I'm home alone, and I don't get to see you that often. I'm here in the studio, or I'm out flying an airplane. So I'm taking my own advice, and that's the most important thing to do. I mean, you can talk the talk, but you got to walk the walk, and Chris Dunn has done that, and what's really cool too is you're someone that, even though you're very interested in earlier time in your life, it took you a little while to change careers into aviation, but you have a lot of runway left in front of you. If you don't mind, how many years do you have left if you were, say, to go to an airline?
If I was to go to an airline, I think we're about the same age, Carl, so I don't want to give away your age. We've got about 8.5 years left.
Right.
So professional flying. So, but beyond that, there are options. So if you are in that 50s age bracket, maybe even early 60s, don't just look at the airline job as your only option, because you can transfer to other jobs like the company I work for right now. There is no age 65 restriction because we're not 121. Part 135 operators, 91K, you can fly past 65. So there are other options out there. Say if you flew for a regional airline for 5 years, you got a type rating in a Challenger or a CRJ, ERJ, something like that. That will translate over into something else. So many options still out there beyond 65.
Chris, I'm so glad you said that. And one of the things I think we are starting to realize is even the regional airlines are shifting back to 135, and 135 scheduled operations where you can go past 65. There's a lot of different opportunities out there, and I'm so glad that you're going to continue on with your flying. The biggest thing is to keep healthy and keep moving forward. Chris, what else? Is there anything else? Any other advice you might want to give to people that are actually thinking about changing a career later in life?
I know I see this coming up time and time again in the various aviation related Facebook groups, and on your podcast, it seems to be a very common theme of where mid-career professionals are asking, should I make the leap? Should I jump into flight training? Oh my gosh, I'm so old. I'm 28 years old, and I'm afraid I don't have any career left as being an airline pilot. And the only answer is, if you want to do it, look at it carefully, find a way to do it, and do it. That's the only way you're truly going to know. You don't want to go through life having regrets. When I was in college and I did my first television internship at a local TV station, and I thought, wow, this is really something I could do. I had some classmates tell me, well, there's a lot of competition in that business, and the chances of you succeeding is pretty slim. So, maybe look at a PR firm and do something like that, or work at a bank, or I don't know what they were thinking. And my thought was, someone out there has to get these jobs, and it might as well be me. And if I only make it to a certain level, well, so be it. But at least I'm going to give it a try. And I know I'm not going to shoot for the moon right out of the gate, but I'm going to do the best I possibly can, and I'll see where this journey takes me. And it took me from a small market in California where I graduated from college to some of the top markets in the country. And, I can look back on that with all the various accolades and awards that I've won in the past and say, yeah, I went there, I did that, I accomplished this, and I have a sense of satisfaction, patting myself on the back here. But, it's hard work and perseverance and really striving to do the best job that you possibly can do, and take that into aviation and again, with the realistic expectations. And I hate to say cliche, but the sky's the limit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Chris, thanks so much for stopping by and talking to us. We'd love to have you back on again to talk about more about your aviation career. But the best place to find you online would be?
Probably my website, theflyingweatherman.com, also on Facebook and Instagram, Chris Dunn Weather on Instagram. I have a couple of Twitter accounts, or X as it's called now, Arizona Weather, Chris Dunn Weather. I think there's another one there too. So I'm kind of all over the place. If you Google me, you can find me. Just don't believe there's a video that was out there that was circulated millions and millions and millions of times, but something that didn't really happen, but it looks like it might have happened. And if you find it, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Chris Dunn, the Flying Weatherman. And one of the things that I think is so incredible about Chris and other people that have actually gone out there and changed careers is the fact that they've never given up. And I love your attitude. A big part of what I've taken away from this conversation is that I think perseverance is important, but your attitude, I think, is of utmost importance, and integrity, and you sure do have that, and you're a great example to many others. I'd hope to have you on again, though.
All right. Well, maybe in a couple of years we'll see where I am and what I'm doing.
Maybe we'll do that before then. We'll have you on Stuck Mike. We'll talk about aviation weather on there. I think we'll definitely do that. But if you're somebody that's interested in a career in aviation, and you've heard Chris Dunn talk, and you've been inspired by what he has to say, do something for me. Take one step today. When you turn off this video, you stop the audio. Don't stop there. Make sure you take one step today to move forward in your career, in your life. It could be something simple, opening a book, going to groundschool.com, checking out some of the courses that are there, or having a discussion with your spouse, your family member, your friends, your mentor. Get some career coaching. No matter what it is, do something for me. Take one step today to move forward in your career and in your life. We'll talk to you next episode. Safe flying out there.